Hello YouTube and welcome to another episode of WLTOYS. Sorry that I have not been around for a while. It's just that I have not had any usable content to record because the weather has just been terribly, horribly wrong here where I am in the United States. But anyways, I finally built my basher mode. If you've seen my other videos, you're going to be like, well, what happened to your metal upgraded one? We'll get to that in a little bit and I'll talk about it at the end of the video. But in today's video, I want to tell you what went into building this car. This is pretty much in its stock form with a few upgrades. And I'm going to tell you right now that this will be a pretty extensive video. It's probably going to be 25-30 minutes, but so you don't lose interest, let me tell you what I am going to talk about in this video. I'm going to talk about the enhancements that you can do to this car right out of the box so you can get a more enjoyable experience so you don't start breaking parts on this car. Then I'm going to talk about optional upgrades that you can do, like what kind of GPS to buy to record speeds on it if you're doing speed runs, what to attach it with. I'm going to talk about brushless upgrade and how to get there. I am going to talk about what kind of transmitter to get and receiver for the vehicle once you have to do the upgrade. I am going to talk about how to attach these wheel extenders on the rear, which I think are going to help with the stability of the vehicle when you're doing speed runs. Then I'm also going to talk about the kind of mounts that I'm going to put on this vehicle to install this body, little pointers, and then the kind of paint I'm going to use, some enhancements that you can do to your battery. I'm also going to talk about what kind of wheels to get when you're doing speed runs. And at the very end of the video, I'll talk about what my next project is afterwards. Now, I do promise you that a lot of these upgrades are very, very, very much transferable or an image of this car into the 124019. So I'm not going to actually do the upgrades. I'll just talk through them. And then when I do get my 124019, which is on order and I have all the upgrade parts coming in, I will do a one-stop shop comprehensive video on how to do all the upgrades that you could possibly want on the car to get a decent speed out of it and build yourself a nice little purple mean lean machine. Let's dive right into it. So the first thing that you want to do, first, second, it doesn't matter, is check your differentials, okay? This is a differential on a 144001. The differential has 4 screws. This over here has 6 screws. You want to take this cup off, look in here, and grease it, because out of the factory, it comes almost bone dry. There is some grease in there when you get it, but it pretty much comes bone dry. You can see that I already have grease on this one. I've already greased this one up. And I am using Lucas White Lithium grease. That's what I'm using for mine. Other people are using other stuff. All utility purpose grease that you have around the house should work. These are not sealed differentials, so do not try to put oil in them, because the second that you try to put oil in them, it's just going to leak all out. The next thing that you want to look at is shocks. Sometimes they come underfilled, sometimes they come overfilled. My experience is mine were overfilled from factory, so I had to bleed them a little bit. Now, how do you know if they're overfilled or underfilled? If they're underfilled, you take the spring off, you disassemble there's plenty of videos out there on how to disassemble these and how to make these, take them apart. But pretty much what's going to happen is when you push like that without the spring on, it's going to stay compressed. So that means that there is little to no oil in there. And if you have any kind of resistance to get it all the way in, and you can't get it all the way in with little to no resistance, then that means that you have too much oil in it and you want to bleed it. There are many reasons why you do that. First of all, to not break anything in there. And of course, rebound and all that other stuff. There's plenty of videos out there for him. A guy that does great videos and talks about rebound and shocks and all that stuff, differentials and wheel wobbles. I do it too, but go look at Me, Him, RC. He talks about all that kind of stuff. Anyway, another thing that you can do is these little things right here. The toe on the back wheels is very aggressive when it comes from factory. One thing that you can do is make it a little bit less aggressive, especially if you're going to run straight line speed runs. Like I'm trying to build this little basher into a hybrid high speed bashing machine. Anyway, what you do is you take these 2 screws out and you take these 2 things out. You flip it in 180 degrees. And that resolves it. And that is because the hole that the pin that attaches to the swing arm is offset to the inside. So when it from factory, so if you flip it around, it's to the outside. When you flip it, it goes to the inside, and that kind of straightens the toe. Let me show you what I'm talking about with that. For those of you who have never dealt with a car of this fashion. All right, so here is the piece. Let me show you the piece. Here is a little piece that goes back there. And it's going to be very hard to show you, but let me see if I can get this up on camera. And if you can see, there it is. You can see it. As you can tell, that hole is offset to one side. So if you flip it around, it's either going to increase or decrease the toe. You just take that part off. Like I said, take these 2 screws out, pop these off, turn them around, put them back in, put the 2 screws back in, and you're set. Another thing that a lot of people do to these cars straight out of the box is the wheel wobble. I don't have wheel wobble because I've already done the upgrade, but obviously this is what happens. You're going to notice that your car, when you move the tire, it moves. This one doesn't move because it's got the upgrade. So the reason is because the bearings that they put in this are relatively too small for it. So you have like a millimeter or 2 of play in and out straight out of the box. And the way to fix that is by buying a different set of bearings. Those bearings can be these right here. They are the MR74 2RS. They are a little bit bigger than the standard size bearings that come in, but if you buy this model bearings, they will be the correct size. I forgot what the exact size is, but if you buy these, you can't go wrong. They come in a little package of 10 from AliExpress. You buy this set of bearings, and then you install 2 on one side, 2 on the other side, inner and outer hub, and 1 on the inside of each of the back tires, because otherwise, when you try to put in the hub pin back in for the hex, you won't be able to fit it in. So the other thing that you can do before I go into brushless conversions and any of that is you can install these. I haven't tested this yet. I did a preliminary test outside just to check them out. It does seem like it's going to have more stability right on takeoff and get you on a straight line when you're doing speed runs. This might be a good option for you. As you can tell, I don't know if you can see that my wheelbase on the rear is longer than in the front, or wider. So to install these, pretty much you take out, this is the hub. Here's the hub. The hub is attached to the dog bone that goes into the differential back here. And this is supposed to attach to it. The problem with this kit that I bought from AliExpress is that it wobbles too much on there. There's too much, and it does come with an adapter. Let me show you the adapter that snaps onto here, which is a problem too. You can put this on here, and that'll fix it, theoretically speaking, because it's like an adapter that you put on a motor to go from 3.2 to 5 millimeters. But it doesn't come with a hole, so you cannot get the pin in. And if you put the pin in because it'll only go to like right here, it won't go all the way into the hub, obviously, because you have this one still has a bearing on it. Yeah, that's from my other car. Anyway, so it'll only go to about right there, and that does nothing. Plus, this thing is big, so that thing is going to slide into the hub, into this hub, and it will do nothing. So from factory, it just came not right, or I don't know. But anyway, so what I did is I went to the hardware store, and I actually stumbled into this piece. I wasn't even looking for it. What it is, it's a focus. 3/16 times 6, or in metric 4.8 times 152.4 aluminum rod tube. It is made by the Hillman brand, and it is model number right there. You see that? 884466. Anyway, so you buy one of those rods, and it's perfect. It's just like that little piece that I just showed you, but now it'll go straight onto this without wobbling. And then you can cut it off right at the end of the part right here. And then you can drill a hole through here like I did and install them. And just so you can see, it fits perfectly on here. So yeah, no wobble. and then you install it on here, yeah, no wobble. So we're good. It's set. Now the only problem is, oh, and by the way, the pin goes in through the hole, and how do you secure that? It has a rubber O-ring that goes on it once you have the pin set. Now, I tried it already on bench on 3S, and this did not try to fly off. If you was wondering if this is going to fly off, to me in my case it won't. But if you want to put something a little bit more permanent on there that gives you more confidence, go ahead. But it works. Now the pins, I will tell you that I don't feel overly confident about these pins because it doesn't seem like they go. Man, I'm dropping stuff. It doesn't seem like they go in all the way. When you install the pin, that's all the way on one side. But on the other side, it quite doesn't reach all the way in. It's almost all the way in, but it's not all the way in. The way this works without installing it onto a vehicle is you get, just theoretically speaking, of course, I'm using this kind of tubing, but I'm going to use a little other adapter as an example for now. You put that on there. When you put this on there, you put the pin through, you put that rubber bushing around it, then you install your tire onto the hex, and there you have your extension. Now, it does come with washers, and this is the beautiful part about it. I would use a little Loctite on these, but that's a pretty long screw. So it'll go right into that hub, and it is hex. I like that. So you have a nice little hex screw that'll go into the wheel extension. And you can tighten it as much as you want, and it's not going to affect anything because the tightening the wheels and binding is not going to be a factor the way that this is installed. All right, so enough of that. Now let's see what's under the hood. So the other thing that I can talk about before we go on to that is GPS. Okay, so let me show you right off the bat what this car did on 3S without fine-tuning it. Okay, without fine-tuning it and its current setup, it's 54.2 miles an hour. You might be wondering, well, that's kind of slow. I've seen a lot more than that, but wait till you see what's inside and you'll understand why in a minute. Now, how is this mounted? By the way, this is a mainland GPS. Once it acquires signal, it works just like any other GPS. And I have it with this stuff right here. It's this Scotch, what is this called? Extreme mount fastener or something. It's not really Velcro, but it's mounting tape. And it's sticky on one side, and then it has this like textured plastic feeling on it. I have some right here on the window. And I just like how it fits. Some people install them over here, but I like it right there. It just fits right. It makes it a little bit more aerodynamic than putting it up here. So that's the way I decided to go with it. It works fine. I think it looks good. And it'll be able to do all my speed run stuff. So, and it holds it in place. Even if, look, I can put it on there and lift the car up by it. No, I can't. It still will come off. I lied. Anyway, so let's dive right into the car. The other thing that I got are these little pins. If you own this car, you know that these pins are a pain in the butt to remove. So I decided to buy some that have tabs on them because that way I can just grab them and rip them off, and there you go. These are like $1 and some change off of AliExpress for a set of 4. That's pretty expensive for pins, but I thought that it was worth a shot. Or you can just install zip ties onto your current pins, and that'll work too. Anyway, so take off the body. Here we go. We are in the inside of the car. Now we're going to talk about what I have done other than the upgrades to make it run right out the box. So here we go. We got a Gould RC35 brushless ESC, which I'm going to replace with a 45 amp ESC that has a fan on it because this one does get a little warm when you're doing bashing, and I didn't like that. So I'm going to replace it with a fanned one. Then we got the Gould RC going back to the 54.2 miles an hour. This is why it has a smaller motor, but it is a 4500 kV. And the gearing is different than the stock. It still has the original Pinion, spur gear, except for the enhanced one. It has the metal spur gear and a 17-tooth Alpha 959 Pinion. Now, this is what you're going to run into, and I will show you when you install that Pinion, is that it comes with a smaller bore hole than the stock 27-tooth Pinion. Okay, so this is the 17 tooth, okay? And that's a 17 tooth 2.13 millimeter hole bore or borehole. And this one is a 27 tooth 3.17, 3.2, call it what you will, bore. And these are extremely hard to find. The only way that you're going to find these pinions, for the most part, I mean, you can dig really hard. You'll find a couple options out there, but not many. Maybe for the 15 tooth you'll find, but as far as the 17 and the 27, you can only buy them for these cars if you go through AliExpress or everywhere you try to buy these is for these cars, because it's a very rare 0.7 pinion that pretty much doesn't exist. But anyway, the problem that you have is that you have to drill out that hole, and unless you have a drill or a very steady hand or another way to do this that is not gonna drill through it cockeyed, then you're gonna have the issue that I had. The issue that I had is when I drilled it, I didn't drill it absolutely straight, so it's shaving those gears in there. But the pinion and the spur gear are kind of shaving each other out, and it's also creating clogging because of the wobble that the pinion has. What it's doing is that when it gets to one side, if you start the car while it's on the correct mesh of the pinion gear and the spur gear, then it takes off just fine. I mean, it'll just hesitate for a second. Pretty much all brushless, cheap brushless systems do, and it takes off. But if it's on the side where it makes the mesh extremely tight, then it starts clogging and you have to kind of give it a push for it to go. I am going to fix that because I purchased the drill press. It just has not arrived yet, and that's why I have an additional pinion. This one has not been bored out yet. But all in all, I am happy with the performance. It didn't have the wheel hub extensions, and it still had, and I had contact phones when I did the speed runs, and it ran 54.2 on the first try. So I'm happy with that. Right now, I'm happy with that because I know that there's things that I can do to this thing to make it go even faster, including fixing the pinion, increasing the gear ratio on the pinion and spur gear, which I'm going to go mod 1. We'll talk about that in a different video. And then, what else? 45 ESC, the pinion, install the phones back on. I got the hubs on now, so it might give me a couple more miles an hour because stability taking off will be better. And that is about it as far as the speed run. Now, when you do a brushless conversion, okay, and I think I've talked about this before, you have to replace the servo as well. So it's not just getting a motor ESC combination. You also have to talk about getting a different, this is the stock servo. You have to get a different servo because if you do not get a different servo, then the issue that you're going to run into is that you can't install it because this stock servo is a 5-wire connection. There it is. See, 5 wires. And this is the replacement for it. I'll show you the brand and the name of it in a minute. It is a 3-wire servo. Okay, so this servo is a JX. Okay, eBay, Amazon, AliExpress, Banggood, you name it. All those places have it. It's a PDI 1181 MG servo. You will not have any issues replacing the servo because it is a direct fit. It is an exact size of the old one that you're replacing. It's the exact same size. Everything is exactly the same. So the mount and everything will fit on this new JX 1181 MG. It's a straight fit. You put it on there and you're good. Now it does come with a goodie bag with all the stuff that comes with to install it, okay? The only one you actually need is this one right here. It goes straight on there. But I don't like it because I have it installed here. And I do see it get into a bind always, especially if you don't set your dual rate on your controller. It's going to tend to want to bind that servo horn because it's not that sturdy. But the good news is, bad news and good news, you can't put a 25 horn on here. So if you have a 25 servo horn, 25 tooth, don't try it. It's not going to fit. You can force it on there, but then you're going to damage the teeth on this servo. Now, the stock one is toothless on the inside. So it's a direct fit on there, and that's what I'm going to use with it. when I install it. There, you put a screw through there and you're set, and it works wonderfully. There you go. There's the servo working. See? Perfect. So that works. Now, along with that, because the ESC that comes stock is an ESC that is a speed controller and a receiver combination, then you need to replace your receiver. When you replace your receiver, there's many choices out there, but I am going to recommend right off the bat what a lot of people on other YouTube channels recommend is this little system right there. It's this transmitter and this receiver. Dumbo RC. This is the Dumbo RC X6. It's a 6-channel receiver that uses 4 AA batteries or 1 2S battery. And this particular one, you can buy it with the X6FG or you can buy it with the X6F. The X6F model does not have gyro. The X6FG does have gyro. So this thing straight out the box comes with gyro when you push that button 3 times. There's a little button right there that you push 3 times and it activates the servo. And if you want to know more about things of issues that you might have with your gyro turning in the wrong direction, I am going to promote him again. Go see Me Him RC, and he will tell you what you need to do to make your gyro work in the correct direction when it's trying to autocorrect your steering. So what do you get in this one? You get dual rate right here. You get your steering trim. You get forward and or normal and reverse steering. You got forward and reverse motor. You got your steering trim. And then you got your dual rate throttle. Another cool thing about this remote is it has an LED light when you turn it on, okay? And on these channels right here, it has channels. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can show you. Turn around. Hello. All right, so you got channels 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So your servo is going to get connected to channel 1. Your ESC is going to get connected to channel 2. But guess what happens if you connect lights to channel 3? This is something cool that this card does. I don't have them on order yet, but I know it can do it. You press this button here, which is channel 3, and it'll turn on and off your lights. Pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool. Anyway, so that is the receiver. And an enhancement that I did to it, okay, this is a wheel that feels, it's not necessarily that it feels cheap, it's just plastic, and me personally, I like foam. I have 2 of these transmitters, so look what you can do to it. You can go over here, and you can install a rubber wheel. They cost a couple of bucks from AliExpress, and boom, it's a direct fit on there. It looks beautiful. It works great. Just look for these. Trust me, AliExpress has them. And guess one thing that it will offer you, okay? So if you're one of those guys that likes to drive with one hand, it's kind of hard with this remote because the wheel is small, okay? If you ever see that light, that means that the batteries are going out, so don't worry about it, okay? That's just the battery going out. Oh, and by the way, I didn't talk about the gyro. This is where you adjust the gyro, okay? From 0 to 100, okay? You can go 50%, 25%, 75%. You can adjust the gyro how you need it for the conditions that you have. But that blinking light means that the batteries are low. I have to replace them. But anyway, that is stock, how it comes with the plastic wheel. With this one, though, you can actually pull that number. And it's so much easier to drive one-handed. I'm not very good at it, but it is possible to do so. And they come in a 3-pack. It comes in a bag similar to this one. There's one of them, and I'm going to put one on just so you can see how tight it actually fits on there because I removed it to do the demonstration. So it's actually a little bit smaller. It's about the size of the inner wheel when you present it onto the transmitter. But you can go on here, and you can pretty much just work it until you get it in. It's not easy, but once you get it on and you get it all straightened out and line it up, it actually works. Get everything nice and lined up how you want it. Boom. There it is. See? Nice and tight. It doesn't slip either direction, and that's applying force to it. And it sits on there very nice, and there you got, it's a nice little enhancement to it. But anyways, moving forward, because it's already taking longer than I expected it to take. So I already talked about the ESC, the motor, the receiver that goes in here, the servo that you have to replace. One other thing that you can do to this thing to enhance it right out of the box is fix steering slop. When I talk about steering slop, in this one I can't do it because this has metal parts and I have to do some other upgrading other than the recommended one. So this brace right here that goes from here to here, again, go see me, him, RC. He'll tell you how to do it. Trust me, find the video and you will see how to fix the steering to where it doesn't like do this, all this mumbo jumbo crap. And it's because what happens is that inside of this right here, there's a bushing. That bushing, the hole is bigger than the screw that goes into it. So the fix is you take all that crap off, you buy a flange bearing, you put the flange bearing in the brace, and then you put an M3 screw, but that's into the plastic piece because the M3 screw, you can drill into the plastic and get an M3 screw in there. Here with the metal part, that is not an option. If I drill it out, I'm not going to be able to get a screw unless I put a screw all the way down and put a lock nut in there, but I'm not doing that. This one actually, let me see. This is how you can tell if you move this. See, this one doesn't have any play, so I don't really have to worry about that too much because with the metal parts, it seems to kind of auto-correct that problem. It's not perfect, but it's not as much as you get with the plastic pieces. Trust me, when you start moving these two links right here back and forth, you'll be able to notice the difference. Like, it's kind of hard to show. Let me see if this one does it. Maybe it does. Maybe this one will. If you see that screw moving, it's because it's doing it. And I don't see it moving. I don't know if you can see it moving. I'm kind of, nope. These are not doing it. So these metal upgrade parts kind of fix that problem a little bit. And I have them in a sick blue color over here that I'm going to install on my next build. But anyway, last thing with this car, hopefully. Yes, last thing. This is completely me. And me, him, RC is going to be laughing when he sees me posting this on my video because he did one. As a matter of fact, a quick story. I was watching one of me, him, RC's and he was installing this body. And the day before I watched the video, I had actually received this in the mail and I was figuring out what to do with it. I mean, I don't know if he's painted it yet, but he sure had it. So it fits on this car. It's called a Revo body. You can get it on Banggood. It's really cheap, under 10 bucks, believe it or not, for a body shipped to your door. But go check it out on Banggood. You can probably find this one on Banggood. It's a Revo 1/16 scale body. Anyway, he used some different mounts and he's got a cool little bumper and another bumper on the back that I'm going to buy. But look, me, him. See what I was talking about? Boom, there it is. There's the damage on my body that we was talking about in one of your videos that I watched yesterday. But I can live with that. So, he was curious to know how I mounted mine because he had to do a couple of things to get the braces that he used installed. I have to tell you the truth. When I bought the mounts, I did no research. I just knew that working it to my body and maybe drilling holes on the shock mounts that I was going to be able to install it. Little did I know that the mounts that I bought are actually meant to be installed on the EMB LC Racing cars. And I'm going to show this just because me, him, RC was kind of curious of how mine were going to mount. There's a model number, me, him. If you decide to change yours, although you already have holes in your body and these mount a little bit different than the ones that you have, this is the mount that I purchased. Let me show you how it works. So on the front, it has a narrower than in the back. Okay? Now, this is the crazy part. There is no drilling required. Okay? So this thing on the inside, the part that faces to the front of the vehicle, if you can see it there, it has a little lip. You know where that lip sits? In that triangle hole that's right there, and it perfectly mounts into those two holes that are already pre-drilled there. Isn't that awesome? Then you get the little body post, and guess what? You can cut them to length when you have your body set when you want to. Guess another cool thing that you can do with these. They come with grub screws that you put from the inside to set these in place. You can turn which direction you want the hole to face. Boom! That's what you can do. In the rear, the exact same format. Wider base, but it has that little lip there. Once you take the wing mount off, guess where it installs? Boom! On the two holes that it's already there on this mount to install the wing braces. I mean, that is too easy. I thought I was going to have to do some things to this thing, but no, it's going to be easy to install that truck body. The holes are not exactly where they are on this body, where they have them pre-marked. Right here is the pre-marks. And on the back, they have pre-marks right there. Just to show you, this one is a little bit wider, so it's going to sit about right there. But I can live with that. And then on the front side, it's going to be a little bit more manageable. Let me take this off. And it was funny because he told me, because I said, I don't know how I'm going to paint it. He commented on the comment that I posted on his video. He said, just stare at it and then start taping. And that's probably what I'll end up doing. So anyway, so there you go. It's not quite as wide as the two marks that are on the hole. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's good enough for what I want. This is just going to be a bashing body. So I'm going to have two setups, okay? Three setups for this car, okay? High, like this, how it says, with a lot of droop for the bashing, and the rear and the front. Try to stiffen up the suspension a little bit for bashing mode. Or maybe not too stiff, because I'll do a couple jumps on it, and nothing too crazy because I don't want to break it. Take the spacers out here, put the wheel bash back in with these wheels, okay? And there'll be two basher setups. It'll be the stock body, or I'll use this body with some wheels that are not in yet, that are bigger than the ones that are installed on this car for bashing purposes. So it'll look like two cars in one. That's going to be pretty neat, which is actually going to be three cars in one, because then I'm going to do the droop, and I didn't talk about that. The droop it down. Okay, so this car, another enhancement that you can do to it is some M3 screws. You put them right there. Let me point them out. There it is. Droop screws right there. That. Screw. You put an M3 screw, you tighten it, and as you tighten it, it lifts your droop. And you can get it straight up and down when you're doing your speed run. So I already have mine pre-installed. I don't have them in the back because this car does squat when it's running. Set the droop to about right there and take it on a speed run, but without these tires. That's why I have a set of contact phones for it. So the fronts are, I think these are, just in comparison, they are smaller than this stock wheel. That's the front ones. I think these are 16 millimeters wide, or 26. Yeah, 26, I believe. And then 30 in the rear. But most people that I've seen have 30s on all four wheels. So I'm kind of jealous because it looks cooler with the 30s all around. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and put the 30s on the front too, because it actually looks pretty cool. Anyway, that's all I have as far as the car goes. Then also one more little thing. Oh, these are the colors, two of the colors that I'm using. And this is, I'm only going to talk about the paint because you do not, I repeat, you do not want to use paint that is not made for polycarbonate Lexan, because if you do, it'll look nice at first, and then when you start bashing the thing, that paint's going to start cracking and it's going to look like crap. Okay? This paint has flexibility built into it, so when you paint, you'll be able to tell the difference when you paint one. The paint is kind of pliable, and it's not like straight old just regular spray paint. Anyway, these are the two colors that I have. I'm going to add black to it to add accents to that car and see where I go from there. Another thing that I did, and this is for you that keep it stock, that don't do any of the crap that I did other than to fix the problems that it has from stock, is install these little caps onto this. Now, the way they come, and why would you want to do that? Okay, you might want to do that because it protects the cable from you to be pulling the wires and just stripping out your balanced charge terminal. Or your charge terminal. So it doesn't come with this. The stock battery doesn't. You know, like better quality batteries, most of them come with that. But the stock batteries or the cheap batteries that you buy do not. So you can buy your 12 pack of these for about a couple of bucks. I got them in 2S, 3S, and 6S. Because I got some 6S wires for my extensions to my balance charger. But anyway, the way these work is that, actually, these are the 3S ones. This is the wider one. You see that? Boom, 3S. You put your wire, you look at the size, pay attention, because you have two notches right here. You put the notches, well, you don't put the notch side, you put the side that doesn't have the notches into a slot that is right. I don't know if you can see that. There's a slot right there. You can see the slot. Yeah, you can. The slot is right there. You slot the back side of it there, and you align the wires on here, and then you turn it and you snap it together. And what that does is it secures that notch. So when you're pulling and entering anything that you're charging this to, or then you don't damage your cables or rip them out accidentally. I think that is a cool little thing to have. Everybody should have these if you have cheap batteries. That's just a little additional enhancement. But anyways, I've been talking long enough. This video is already 36, almost 37 minutes long. And I was going to try to keep it under 30. And I'm not going to do another retake. So it is what it is. If you watch the whole thing, then that's good. If not, hey, I've never said this before, but hey, subscribe, like, make your comments, give me your opinions. But please, subscribe. I need subscribers. I want to have people to talk to, things to get excited about. Anyways, until the next time when I start bringing up more videos, when I get my 124 and my 104 and my other 104 and 144001 build, I will see you then.